After focusing on Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma for 20 years, Capcom's Hideaki Itsuno says it will be fun to create something new. Okay, let's dive into this, shall we? I haven't actually read the article, so it's gonna actually be a blind reaction to the article, but I kind of get the gist of it. So Itsuno has been in interviews here and there talking about games that he wanted to make, games that he'd rather be making, etc., all that stuff, right? And now here he's talking about wanting to make something completely new, a completely new IP instead of working on old IPs. Obviously, we're not going to make an announcement right here, right now. It's a decision that we made in consideration of all surrounding circumstances, Itsuno said. But if I was to ignore all of that and go by my gut feeling, it would be fun to create something new. So, Itsuno wants to make something completely new, and I respect that. Itsuno has been working at Capcom for over 20 years. He has been behind some great games for sure. You know, he directed one of my favorite games of all time, Devil May Cry 3, and he exceeded expectations with Devil May Cry 5. You know, he's working on Street Fighter, Rival Schools, Power Stone, Capcom vs SNK 2. You know, Itsuno has been behind some good games for sure. And if he wants to jump on a different IP and if he wants to make something completely new, I respect that for sure. If you make a sequel immediately after you make a game, the priority goes to what was left behind, what you couldn't do. 10 years gives you enough time to look back and figure out what I really want to do. What was I really trying to achieve? Both for Dragon's Dogma 1 and 2. One thing I really wanted to create is these worlds existing on their own, and then you as a character penetrating those worlds and impacting them. With Dragon's Dogma 1, the best we could do with the technology of the time was to make it look like a world of its own. But this time, by focusing more on the AI and taking advantage of current technologies, I believe we were able to create a world of its own with people who live in it. And have your character impact all these elements. I really wanted to think of this as a simulator, and I think we got in there. So, what does this mean for the Devil May Cry series? Are we going to get a new Devil May Cry game in the next few years? Or instead of a few years, are we going to wait for another decade for a Devil May Cry game? Or is Itsuno done making Devil May Cry games? So it's not officially confirmed on what he wants to do, but it's leaning more towards he wants to create something completely new. And I think it makes sense that he wants to try something new. With Capcom's new engine, the RE engine, looking very nice in each of the new releases. And with Capcom's new Rex engine, an upgraded version of the RE engine, I'm pretty sure that he's able to do more stuff now than ever before. He's probably getting some new ideas because of this new engine. Now this can mean a few things here. Here are my theories. One, we will get a Devil May Cry 6, and Devil May Cry 6 will be Itsuno's final Devil May Cry game he will ever direct. Or number two, he will entrust someone to work on Devil May Cry, you know, someone that he trusts really well. He has passed down his knowledge, his notes, his ideas, etc. Or three, Capcom will give it to someone completely new, you know, someone who has no experience with Devil May Cry in general, or action games in general, and it could flop, or it could be another Devil May Cry 2. Or maybe he does want to make another Devil May Cry game in the future, and for now wants to focus on something completely new and different. And what do I think of this? I think good on him, you know? If he wants to work on something new, if he wants to challenge himself to do something completely different, right? I say go for it. Maybe he doesn't want to be labeled as just the Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry director, you know? Maybe he wants to expand his work and do something, you know, something new. If he wants to make another new RPG game that's very different, go for it. If he wants to make a new turn-based game, if he wants to make a fighting game, or if he just wants to make a FPS game, you know, let him do his thing, you know? Whichever the case may be, if we will get a Devil May Cry game the next few years, or we'll have to wait for another decade for a new Devil May Cry game. Because Devil May Cry 5 did sell really well as a best-selling Devil May Cry game, and a lot of people considered it the best Devil May Cry game, and I could definitely see many reasons why people would think that, and I personally think it is one of the best Devil May Cry games out there. And we are seeing, you know, Capcom recognizing Devil May Cry a lot more now. Will we get a remake of Devil May Cry 1 or 2? I don't know. Will we get a Devil May Cry game in the next few years, or the next decade? Or maybe Itsuno is working on his final Devil May Cry game that he will direct, Devil May Cry 6. Maybe currently it's being planned right now. Dragon's Dogma 2 will for sure be a banger, and I'm very excited for that game. You know, even though the game will launch with no performance mode, no, you know, 16 frames all the time, you know, I'm so hyped for the game. I'm so excited for the game. I'm so excited for what Itsuno will bring in the future, you know? Itsuno's a great director. He's been behind some great games. Behind one of my favorite games of all time, Devil May Cry 3. And if he wants to make something completely new, I say go for it, you know? Either if it's Devil May Cry 6 or Dragon's Dogma 3 or whatever he works on in the future, I'll be excited for it. So yeah, that's about it. Peace.